12-year-old June pressed his back against the cool glass wall of Google headquarters, clutching his cardboard robot model tightly against his chest. The building felt like a giant spaceship at night, with its glowing screens and humming servers. Creating an otherworldly atmosphere, security cameras tracked his movement. But June knew the patterns by heart from all his previous visits to surprise his father. His sneakers made tiny squeaking sound. D's on the polished marble floors as he tiptoed. Past empty workstations, colorful beanbags and ping-pong tables looked strange and abandoned in the dim emergency lighting. The familiar smell of coffee and cleaning supplies mixed together, creating that unique Google scent that always reminded him of his dad's late-night work sessions. June's science project was a simple AI robot made from cardboard boxes and LED lights, but he was proud of it. His teacher had praised his presentation about how artificial intelligence could help humanity solve big problems. He wanted to show his father before tomorrow's school presentation, hoping to see that special smile his dad reserved for moments when June made him proud. The executive floor felt different tonight, usually bustling with assistants and meetings. Now it stretched out like an empty space station corridor. June's heart pounded as he approached his father's corner office. The one with the massive windows overlooking Silicon Valley. The door stood slightly open, which was unusual since his dad always kept it locked during important calls. Soft blue light poured out from the crack, but not the normal glow from computer monitors. This light pulsed and shifted, casting dancing shadows on the hallway walls. June had never seen anything like it before. His curiosity overcame his nervousness as he crept closer, careful not to let his cardboard robot scrape against the door frame. Peering through the gap, June's world changed forever. His father sat slumped in his leather chair, looking smaller and more fragile than June had ever seen him. Tears streamed down Sundar Pichai's face as he stared at floating three-dimensional displays that hung in the air like magic. The holograms showed swirling galaxies, strange symbols that hurt to look at directly, and what appeared to be Earth surrounded by massive dark shapes, economically unviable. His father whispered into a device that looked nothing like any phone June had ever seen. The words came out broken, heavy with defeat. 72 hours, Mr. President. That's all we have before they implement their decision. June's grip tightened on his cardboard robot as he watched the holographic displays shift and change. Star maps revealed pathways between distant worlds, marked with symbols that seemed to move when he wasn't looking directly at them. Alien text scrolled past in languages that looked like flowing water or crystallized lightning. But it was the image of Earth that made his stomach drop. His home planet appeared as a small blue marble surrounded by enormous spacecraft. The ships didn't look like anything from movies or video games. Instead of sleek metal surfaces, they seemed to be grown rather than built, with organic curves and surfaces that shifted like living skin. They positioned themselves round Earth like predators circling wounded prey, more holographic. Windows opened, showing what appeared to be first contact protocols. June couldn't read the alien text, but the images told a clear story. Earth's governments had been in secret communication with these beings for some time. Trade negotiations had been happening in the shadows, and humanity had apparently failed. Some kind of test. A new voice crackled through his father's communication device, speaking in accented English. The Galactic Trade Consortium has made its final assessment. Mr. Pichai, human emotional instability and lack of unified purpose make your species unsuitable for integration. Resource extraction will begin in 72 hours, with population relocation to agricultural worlds in the Kepler system. June watched his father's shoulders shake as the full weight of the message sank in. These weren't negotiations anymore. This was a death sentence for human civilization as they knew it. The aliens had decided that Earth's people were nothing more than potential farm workers, useful only for manual labor on distant worlds. The boy's cardboard robot suddenly felt foolish in his hands. While he had been building pretend AI helpers, real alien intelligence had been evaluating humanity and finding them wanting. His simple school project about artificial intelligence helping solve problems seemed laughably naive now that he understood the scope of the actual problem facing his species. His father ended the call and buried his face in his hands, crying silently as the holographic displays continued their silent dance of doom round his office. Earth's fate had been sealed by beings so advanced that humanity's greatest technological achievements probably seemed like children's toys to them. June realized he was witnessing the moment his father learned that everything he had worked for, everything humanity had built, would soon be stripped away by creatures who saw them as nothing more than an economic inconvenience. June. Sundar spun round in his chair so fast that coffee spilled across his desk, mixing with the strange blue light from the holographic displays. His eyes were red and puffy, but he quickly wiped them with his sleeve, trying to look normal. "You shouldn't be here, son. It's way past your bedtime. Dad, what's happening?" June stepped into the office, his cardboard robot forgotten on the floor. He pointed at the floating displays with a trembling finger. "Are those aliens?" The holographic images flickered and dimmed as if responding to June's presence. Star maps folded in on themselves, while the massive spacecraft round Earth seemed to pulse with an ominous energy. Sundar's shoulders sagged as he realized there was no hiding the truth anymore. "Come here, Beta," Sundar said softly, using the Hindi term of endearment he'd called June since childhood. He pulled his son close, feeling how small and fragile the boy felt against his chest. "Yes, those are aliens, and they've been watching us for a very long time." June's mind raced as his father began to explain. For over 50 years, beings from something called the Galactic Trade Union had been secretly observing Earth. They studied human behavior, technology, and culture like scientists examining insects under a microscope. Every war, every breakthrough, every moment of human history had been carefully recorded and analyzed by creatures whose intelligence operated on levels humanity couldn't even comprehend. "They came to us 3 months ago," Sundar continued, his voice heavy with exhaustion. "Secret meetings with world leaders. They offered us a choice, prove we were worthy of joining their galactic civilization, or face the consequences. We failed their tests. June. They think we're too emotional, too chaotic, too primitive." The alien evaluation reports glowed in. The holographic displays, showing humanity's scores across various categories. Logic and reasoning abilities ranked near the bottom compared to other species in the galaxy. Individual intelligence scores were embarrassingly low. Social organization appeared random and inefficient to alien observers who valued perfect hierarchical structures. "But Dad," June whispered, "we're not stupid. Humans have done amazing things." Sundar's expression suddenly changed, and for the first time that night, a genuine smile crossed his face. "That's exactly right, son. We're not stupid at all. We're just different. And that difference is about to save us." He stood up and walked to what June had always thought was a normal bookshelf. Sundar pressed his palm against a hidden scanner, and the entire wall slid away to reveal an elevator that definitely wasn't on any building. Blueprint. The elevator descended far deeper than should have been possible, passing through levels that didn't officially exist. "We've been preparing for this moment since the internet was invented," Sundar explained as they dropped into the Earth. Every smartphone, every social media account, every connected device, it's all part of something much bigger than anyone realized. The elevator opened onto a vast underground chamber filled with quantum computers that looked like Crystal forests, thousands of processing units hummed with barely contained energy, their surfaces covered in patterns that seemed to shift and dance in the dim lighting. Technicians moved between the machines like priests tending to electronic altars, monitoring displays that showed real-time data from across the globe. The aliens tested us wrong, Sundar said, his voice growing stronger and more confident. They gave us individual intelligence tests because that's how their species work. Each alien is basically a super genius who operates alone. They've never encountered a species that thinks collectively. June watched in amazement as the displays showed data flowing between billions of connected devices worldwide. Every text message, every social media post, every search query was part of a massive network that the aliens had completely missed. While they had been studying individual humans, they had failed to notice that humanity's real strength lay in their connections to each other. "Watch this," Sundar said, typing commands into a console that looked like it belonged on a spaceship. "Right now, there's a farmer named Kang in South Korea who just posted a photo of unusual weather patterns. A meteorologist named Heiner in Tokyo sees it and shares climate data. A programmer named Tai in Seoul creates an app to track the pattern. And a student named Yuki in Osaka uses that app to predict next week's typhoon path." The holographic display showed this chain of human connection happening in real time, with information flowing from person to person at the speed of light. What would take an individual alien years to calculate, humans were solving in minutes through collaboration. 8 billion human minds, son, Sundar said, placing his hand on June's shoulder. All connected, all working together without even realizing it. The aliens see chaos. But we see the most powerful problem-solving network the galaxy has ever witnessed. Deep in the quantum computers, humanity's collective intelligence was awakening, preparing for a battle that would determine the fate of Earth itself. The sky above New York City rippled like water as the first alien vessel decloaked, its massive organic hull blocking out the morning sun. Similar ships materialized over Tokyo, London, Mumbai, and every major population center across the globe. These weren't the sleek metal spacecraft from movies. They looked grown rather than built, with surfaces that pulsed like living hearts, and appendages that moved with disturbing intelligence. "Now," Sundar whispered, his finger hovering over a red button that would change everything. June watched his father take a deep breath before pressing the activation switch for Project Prometheus. Instantly, every screen on Earth lit up with the same message in hundreds of languages. Think together, solve together, survive together. From the underground quantum chamber, June could see feeds from around the world. Smartphones buzzed in pockets, tablets chimed on kitchen tables, and giant digital billboards in Times Square displayed the call to action. People stopped walking, driving, and working to stare at their devices. The message was simple, but something deep in human DNA understood what it meant. "World leaders are standing by," announced a technician named Jin who was monitoring global communications. "President Chen in Beijing confirms activation. Prime Minister Patel in New Delhi is ready. Everyone's connected to the network." Sundar pulled up a holographic display showing the alien ships. Mechanical arms extended from their hulls, beginning to scan Earth's surface with beams of sickly green light. "They're starting their resource evaluation," he said grimly. "We have maybe 6 hours before they begin extraction." Above them, the alien vessels moved with predatory grace, smaller scout ships detached from the main fleet like seeds from a deadly flower, dispersing across the atmosphere to map every mountain, ocean, and forest. The beings inside these craft had technology that could strip mine entire planets in days, relocate populations across star systems, and reshape worlds according to their economic needs. But they had never faced humanity's secret weapon. The first breakthrough came from Seoul, where a college student named Minho was staring at his phone during a physics lecture. The quantum servers had pushed part of an energy equation to his device, something about converting matter directly into usable power. Minho didn't understand why. But his mind started working on the problem like a puzzle piece clicking into place. 200 miles away in Bison, engineer Yuna was having lunch when her tablet displayed Minho's partial solution. Her years of experience with fusion reactors told her exactly what the missing variable should be. Without thinking, she input the calculations and shared them back to the network. In a small farming village outside Daegu, 70-year-old grandmother Hannah was teaching her granddaughter how to use a smartphone when the device suddenly showed a complex energy formula. Hannah had never studied physics, but something about the pattern reminded her of the way water flowed through her ice fields. She suggested a simple modification based on natural flow patterns and sent it through the network within minutes. The three separate insights combined into a complete solution for unlimited clean energy. The quantum computers verified the math, and the breakthrough was shared across the global network instantly. "That's impossible," breathed Jin, staring at the readouts. "They just solved controlled fusion in 15 minutes. Alien civilizations have been working on this for thousands of years, but humanity was just getting started in Lagos." A street vendor named Kofi solved part of a gravity manipulation equation while selling fruit. His insight connected with work from a physicist named Raj in Mumbai and a mechanic named Pablo in Mexico City. Together, they cracked the secret of creating artificial gravity fields without massive energy requirements. A group of teenagers in Stockholm figured out how to communicate instantly across any distance by treating space itself like a telephone network. Their solution built on quantum entanglement theory that individual alien scientists had abandoned as impossible. The alien ships hovering over major cities began to slow their scanning operations. Through their advanced sensors, they detected unprecedented energy signatures emerging from human settlements. Technologies that should have taken millennia to develop were appearing every few minutes. Commander Vex, leader of the extraction fleet, studied the data streams in confusion. His crystalline brain, capable of processing information at incredible speeds, simply couldn't understand what he was witnessing. Individual humans still scored poorly on intelligence tests, but collectively, they were solving problems that had stumped the galaxy's greatest minds. Sir reported his second-in-command, a creature that looked like living metal. "The humans are developing faster than light communication. They are also showing signs of matter manipulation and dimensional folding capabilities," Vexes. Multiple eyes focused on Earth with new interest. In his 3,000 years of galactic conquest, he had never seen a species make such rapid technological progress. Most civilizations took millions of years to develop even basic space travel. Humans were rewriting the laws of physics in real time. Deep in the quantum chambers beneath Google headquarters, Sundar watched the breakthrough counter climb higher every second. Humanity's collective mind was awakening. And the aliens were about to learn why emotional, chaotic, collaborative thinking was the most powerful force in the universe. The United Nations building in New York had never hosted a meeting quite like this one. Security guards stood frozen in amazement as reality itself seemed to bend and twist in the main assembly hall. The air shimmered like heat waves rising from some pavement. And then General Vex materialized in the center of the room. He wasn't what anyone had expected from science fiction movies. Vex stood nearly 8 feet tall, with skin that looked like polished black stone mixed with liquid silver. His face was vaguely reptilian, but his eyes held an ancient intelligence that made everyone in the room feel like children. When he moved, the air around him crackled with energy, and his voice resonated with harmonics that human ears weren't designed to hear. "I am Commander Vex of the Galactic Trade Union Extraction Fleet," he announced, his words translating automatically into every language through some kind of neural field. "I have come to understand what trickery you have employed to create these impossible technologies." Sundar walked forward, his son June beside him, both looking impossibly small next to the alien commander. But Sundar's voice was steady and confident as he began his presentation. "No trickery, Commander. Just humanity showing you what we're really capable of." The holographic displays round the room came alive with demonstrations of the breakthrough technologies that had emerged in just 6 hours. A device no larger than a smartphone created a communication link that reached instantly across the galaxy, connecting to automated probes humanity had never launched. Another invention generated unlimited clean energy by convincing atoms to dance in perfect harmony, creating power that actually increased the more it was used. "This is impossible," Vex said, his reptilian features contorting with confusion. "These solutions violate fundamental laws of physics. Your species scored at the bottom of our intelligence evaluations." Sundar smiled, and for the first time in months, it was genuine. "That's because you tested us wrong, Commander. You gave us individual intelligence tests because that's how your species operates. Each of you is essentially a super genius working alone." The room's displays shifted to show real-time data from around the world. In a coffee shop in Bangkok, a barista named Nin was solving part of a medical equation while making lattes. Her insight connected with research from Dr. Kim in Seoul, who was building on work from a retired teacher named Eleanor in Sao Paulo. Together, they were developing medical technology that could adapt to any biological form, healing injuries that were considered impossible to treat. "We don't compete with each other," Sundar continued. "We collaborate. Every human contribution makes us all stronger." That farmer in Kenya who never went to school, his understanding of natural patterns helped solve your gravity manipulation problem. The teenager in Mumbai who spends all day playing video games, her pattern recognition skills cracked your faster-than-light travel equations. Vex's multiple eyes studied the data streams, his advanced brain trying to process what he was seeing. For 3,000 years, he had led galactic expansion efforts, evaluating species across hundreds of star systems. Every civilization he had encountered followed the same pattern, individual brilliance rising to the top, creating hierarchical societies where the smartest beings led the rest. "Your evaluation methods are flawed," June spoke up, his young voice carrying clearly through the vast hall. "You assumed that intelligence means being smart alone, but humans are smart together." The alien commander's attention focused on the -1-year-old boy with an intensity that made several diplomats step backward. "Explain, young human." June looked up at his father, who nodded encouragingly. "It's like music," the boy said. "One person can play a beautiful song, but an orchestra can create something that makes people cry, feel joy, or want to dance. We're not trying to be the best individual musician. We're trying to be the best orchestra." The displays round the room showed the human network in action. Millions of people contributing small pieces to massive puzzles, each person adding their unique perspective and experience. A grandmother's wisdom about patience combined with a child's creativity and an engineer's technical knowledge to solve problems that had stumped galactic civilization. "For millennia, your trade union operates on the principle of individual excellence," Sundar said, his voice growing stronger with each word. "The smartest being in each species rises to the top and makes decisions for everyone else. But we've discovered something better." He gestured to the holographic displays showing breakthrough after breakthrough emerging from human collaboration. We don't want to join your trade union as another subordinate species. We want to transform it into something that's never existed before. A true galactic cooperative where every mind contributes to solving the universe's greatest challenges. Vex's ancient eyes widened as he began to understand the implications. The humans weren't just offering to join galactic civilization, they were proposing to revolutionize it completely. You're suggesting that other species could learn this, collective thinking. We're not suggesting it, Sundar replied with a smile that made even the alien commander pause. We're proving it. And we're ready to teach the entire galaxy how to think together. 6 months had transformed not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. June walked through the gleaming corridors of what used to be the United Nations building. Now expanded into the Earth Representative Center, the structure had grown both upward and downward, with new levels that seemed to defy physics, connected by transport tubes that moved people at impossible speeds without any sensation of motion. His father's new office occupied an entire floor, with walls made of some kind of living crystal that displayed real-time images from across the galaxy. Sundar stood before these magnificent displays, tears streaming down his face. But these were tears of joy and pride rather than the desperate sorrow June had witnessed 6 months ago. "Dad, you're crying again," June said with a smile, setting down his school backpack filled with homework that now included subjects like interspecies communication and galactic cooperation theory. "Happy tears this time, Beta," Sundar replied, wiping his eyes as he pointed to the incredible scenes playing out across the crystal walls. "Look at what we've accomplished." The displays showed wonders that would have been impossible to imagine just months earlier. In the Andromeda sector, a human teacher named Kia sat in a classroom filled with beings that looked like living crystal formations. These creatures, called the Zeph, had evolved on a world of pure logic and mathematics. For millions of years, they had struggled to understand concepts like empathy, creativity, and emotional intelligence. "Watch this," Sundar said, adjusting the display to focus on Kira's classroom. She was teaching young Zeth crystals how to recognize emotional patterns in other species by playing simple games. The crystal children sparkled with different colors as they learned to identify happiness, sadness, and excitement in various galactic species. Their rigid, logical minds were slowly opening to the beauty of emotional connection. Another section of the wall showed Engineer Day working alongside the Vorthan, creatures that lived in the gas clouds of Jupiter-like planets. The Vorthan existed as conscious storms, able to manipulate matter and energy in ways that defied human understanding. But they had never learned to build permanent structures because their nature was constant movement and de-change. They had spent 3 months learning to communicate with these storm beings through electromagnetic patterns. Now, they were collaborating to design space stations that could shift and adapt like living organisms, growing stronger under pressure instead of breaking. The resulting architecture looked like frozen music, beautiful and functional in ways that neither species could have achieved alone. "Look at this one." June pointed to another display showing teachers who in what appeared to be a playground floating in space. Alien children from dozens of species were learning to play together, their different biological forms creating a rainbow of scales for crystals and energy patterns. A young reptilian was helping a gaseous nebula child stay cohesive while they played a game that looked like three-dimensional tag. 6 months ago, those species were in a trade war that had lasted 3 centuries, Sundar explained. Now their children are best friends. The transformation hadn't been easy. Many alien species had initially resisted the human approach to collaboration. The proud hierarchy of Kepler, who had ruled through strict individual excellence for 10,000 years, had nearly declared war when humans suggested that their lowest-ranking citizens might have valuable insights. but the results spoke for themselves. Problems that had plagued galactic civilization for millennia were being solved weekly through human-led collaborative networks. Food shortages on desert worlds were eliminated when human farmers worked with silicon-based rock eaters to develop new agricultural techniques. Energy crises were solved by combining human creativity with alien technical knowledge. The whole galaxy is changing, Dad, June observed, watching as the display showed hundreds of worlds now connected through human-style communication networks. Everyone's starting to think together instead of just competing. Sundar nodded, pulling his son close as they watched a particularly amazing scene unfold. The former Galactic Trade Union had been completely restructured into the Galactic Cooperative, with representatives from over 300 species working together in massive collaborative spaces. Decisions that used to be made by individual rulers were now developed through galaxy-wide brainstorming sessions. We didn't just survive first contact. June, Sundar said, his voice filled with wonder. We showed the entire universe that intelligence isn't about being the smartest individual creature. It's about connecting every mind, every perspective, every unique way of thinking to build something greater than any of us could imagine alone. The crystal walls showed the most incredible sight of all, a massive construction project in the galaxy's center where thousands of species were working together to build something that had never existed before. It wasn't a space station or a weapon, but a living library where every species' knowledge, wisdom, and culture would be preserved and shared forever. Young Zeth crystals worked alongside Stormbeing Vorthan and human engineers. They're different ways of thinking, creating solutions that pure logic or pure creativity could never achieve alone. The galaxy had become a single vast mind, thinking together, solving together, growing together. And this is just the beginning, Sundar whispered, as new species from distant galaxies sent their first tentative communications, eager to learn about this revolutionary way of thinking that had transformed an entire civilization. The end.